Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another special guest. This is Dr. Leanne Sakzewski. No, I said it wrong.
No, you said it right.
Oh, I said it right. Welcome, thank you for being here. Leanne is currently my research supervisor for my honours project, so I thought I would take the opportunity to interview her. So my first question is, can you give us a brief overview of your pathway or journey to your current position?
Sure. So I worked clinically for about 18 years, mainly in paediatrics, at a whole range of different places, Royal Children's Hospital in Brisbane, Princess Margaret Hospital in Perth, and a whole range of community paediatric services as well. I first started doing some clinical research. I was probably maybe 5 or 6 years into working following university, and I was really lucky to be involved in a project where I had really good mentorship from a very experienced researcher, and I think that was really important for my overall enjoyment and really appreciating how important it was to actually do clinical research. I then went on and had children and the things that you do, and came back to research later in my career, as I said, after 18 years, and I did a PhD. And I was given a really great opportunity to come on board with a big funded project that had very good support from mentors, and that really started the research journey to the point where I am now.
Okay, so I guess my next question is, what does a typical day for you look like?
There is no really typical day because it changes quite a bit. There are a lot of meetings on some days, so I now supervise honours, masters and PhD students, and so there's a lot of meeting time to support people who are just developing as researchers. There's also a lot of time spent, depending on the stage of any particular research project, keeping up to date with literature, managing research data. It could be in the middle of a project where I'll be recruiting children, because I always do sort of clinical based research with children with cerebral palsy or acquired brain injuries. So we might be recruiting, we might be actually running an intervention program, so I could be back with my clinician hat on again. I could be doing assessments with children, I could be analysing data, or I could be writing journal articles. So there's a whole range of different things, and there's no one typical day. It changes as you progress through different research projects.
Well, I guess that leads me into my next question. Is there a sort of person or characteristics we might have that suit research?
I think you have to have passion and you have to be curious. And those two things together drive you to want to answer different clinical questions. Some of the really great students I've had are incredibly passionate about researching a particular topic of interest. They tend to be really methodical and particular in terms of detail, and that's a really good skill for researchers. I think, you know, a lot of the things when you come on as a master's student or an honours student or a PhD student is that you're at the beginning of learning how to do research, and so you start developing different skills along the journey of whatever degree you're doing, and so you actually start building your skills at academic writing and so on and so forth. Statistics, which some people get a bit scared about, but it's actually not that scary if you've got good support.
So are there moments that reinforce your choice to be in research?
I think research is a great career. It's a lot more flexible than working in a clinical setting, and that's a really big plus. But I think the really fun part of research is when you go through and you've conducted a study and you analyse the results and you get to the, you've answered a question, and that's a really exciting part. And then, as I said, because we're always curious, you can answer a question, but there's always another 10 that come out from answering that question. So it's exciting in that it keeps evolving, essentially.
Yeah. Well, leading me to my next question, have you noticed, have there been any changes recently within research and possibly more specifically to OT research?
I mean, on the nitty-gritty side of things, I think, you know, obviously when you're working, doing research with human beings or even with animals, you've got to have ethics approvals, and that's fine. But I think what's become more complex over recent years are the kind of collaborative legal agreements you have to engage in with your partners in research, and also now you need to have site-specific approvals for all the different locations that you're actually conducting research. So that kind of governance side of things actually has drawn out the process of how long it actually takes to be able to start your research project. So that's a more recent thing. I suppose in the area of cerebral palsy, in Australia in particular in OT, the last 10 years has just seen a massive explosion of really high quality evidence. And it's hard to say why that is, but maybe there's actually a critical mass of us now, and that we keep building on each other's research and ideas. So probably in the area of cerebral palsy, I'd say there's been a massive explosion in terms of research evidence, particularly around motor training interventions in cerebral palsy. And OT, the evidence for upper limb training in OT and CP is huge, and probably far outstrips the evidence for, say, physio interventions for CP. So there's been a lot of growth in the area.
Yeah, go OTs.
Go OTs, and it's been really high quality work too.
Yeah, that's really good then. Yeah. So my last question is, what advice do you have for students or graduates wanting to be a part of research?
I think don't be scared, but make sure that you've got good supports around you. So as I sort of said when I was talking about the starting of my research journey, I had a really great mentor from a university with a lot of research experience, and I think it's really helpful to have that. What was your question again? What advice? Yeah. And take the opportunities when they arise. You don't have to run an entire project, but you could get a great understanding of a project by, for example, helping with some data collection, or we've got some projects going on at the Lady Salento Children's Hospital where some of the clinicians have gained some experience in doing qualitative interviews with the project. So don't be scared to dip your toe into the research water. It probably sounds more scary than it actually is, but I think for our profession as OTs, we need good research, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us really to contribute to that in some way or another.
Well, that's all my questions for today. Thank you so much for being a part of this interview.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.